Hi, I'm Danny Boom and welcome to a special episode of Recipe Rehab sponsored by Everyday Health.
On this episode, our Italian stallion, Chef Laura, is in the hot seat. She's answering questions from you, our viewers.
How do you separate an egg?
How do you pick out fruit at the grocery store?
What's your favorite cooking gadget?
She's sharing her secret cooking tips and tricks.
You can use this trick to light your birthday candles. You just suck it up.
People at home, I bet no one knew how to do this.
Showing us how to make a healthy 10-minute meal.
I'm gonna make a 10-minute pumpkin soup.
And away you go.
And she'll even unveil what she picks up at the grocery store.
Being an Italian, you know I have to have extra virgin olive oil. You can definitely whip up something in no time.
All coming up now on Recipe Rehab.
Look at that.
Wow. Let's welcome the master of the kitchen, Chef Laura. Okay, Chef Laura, we have asked kids all across the country to submit questions, which you're then going to answer. Are you ready?
I think so.
Well, here we go. The first one comes from Maddie.
I love tomatoes, but I hate the seeds. Is there a way you can take the seeds out?
So, Chef Laura, how do we get the seeds out of a tomato?
Well, it's really simple. There are two ways you can go about it.
Two ways.
I've got some Roma tomatoes here. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it in half like so. And now you could gently squeeze out the seeds, but you ruin a little bit of the shape of the tomato. Now, what I like to do is you take a little teaspoon and you kind of go in there and very gently run it around the edges of your tomato. And it just comes out really quickly and really fast.
There you go, Maddie.
There you go. And you can use it to stuff it, or, you know, sometimes the seeds can be quite bitter, so you want to chuck them out. Right. And also, it's great if you want to make a sauce, it doesn't make it so watery.
Okay. So, excellent question, Maddie. The next question comes from Liam.
How do you separate an egg?
How do we separate an egg, Chef Laura?
I'm gonna show you. You know, obviously we want to use egg whites in most of our cooking.
So we get rid of the yolk.
Right,
that
get
means
rid of the
it's
yolk.
Healthier for
now, the
us.
first thing you want to make sure is that you never want to crack your egg on the side of the bowl because you can risk getting a shell in there. You don't want to do that. Just take your egg and you crack it on your counter, and then you can break it apart. The shell comes off in two pieces, and then what you do is you cradle the egg yolk from one piece of the shell to the other, and all the white runs through, and you put your egg yolk right in there. There's your white, there's your yolk.
We have
No
a
mess.
separated egg.
Now, I'm gonna show you something. It's gonna make Liam the coolest cat around. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it.
Okay.
Now, take your egg, you crack it onto a plate, then you take an empty plastic bottle like so.
Okay.
You wanna apply a little bit of pressure and then place the opening right on the egg yolk, and you just suck it up.
And it sucks it up. You see that?
You just, there you go.
Wow.
Look at that.
Great question there, Liam. Now, Laura, are you ready for the next question?
I am.
Right on. It comes from Angelina.
I always argue with my parents about eating my greens, especially broccoli and spinach. How can they make it more delicious for me to eat?
How can we make veggies taste even better?
Let me show you a little trick that my grandmom used to use when we were kids.
Okay.
You take a little skillet, put a little bit of olive oil in there. You want that to get nice and hot. We're going to pan fry some breadcrumbs. I'm gonna add in another little bit of hot pepper flakes. This is so good, it gives it a nice crunchy element to something that would be really boring and sometimes too soft. So literally just fry it for a couple of minutes or until it gets nice and toasty.
Right.
And you can smell it immediately when that happens. Turn the heat off, add a touch of really good quality Parmesan cheese.
Oh, now we've got the flavor.
Now you got the flavor, and then sprinkle it over the top. And that little tiny trick will transform the life of your spinach and your broccoli.
Awesome. That'll wake up your old veggies. Now, Laura, how about another question? This one comes from Eden.
How do you pick out fruit at the grocery store? How do you know it's ripe?
Well, Chef Laura, good question there by Eden.
Well, first of all, we're gonna start with a cantaloupe. You should be able to sniff the bottom of the cantaloupe. If it smells like a cantaloupe,
The bottom.
Sniff it. You see how it's
Ooh,
nice and sweet, and it smells like a cantaloupe should?
Okay.
You know it's ripe. Now, a grapefruit. Feel this grapefruit. Feel how heavy that is.
Heavy.
With grapefruit, it's exactly it. If it feels heavy, then you know it's ready.
So if it lights, it means
There's
it's
no
lots of-
juice in there. Now, with peaches, nectarines, plums, any stone fruit really, it should be able to give a little. You don't want to be able to put your finger on there and it just feels like it's going
So
to
it
fall
shouldn't
apart.
be tough and it shouldn't be squishy.
Right.
It should be just right.
Feel that, that is just right. Now, with bananas, you know, they change color as they ripen. So take this banana. It's like really green and it's really hard. Green, not ripe yet. When it's not, look at this beautiful color and it's got a little bit brown around. That's really nice and sweet, and it's great in baking. Same thing with tomatoes. They go from green to yellow to orange to red.
So it's a bit like traffic lights. Let's think of it like that. But the other way around. So next time you go to the market to get your fruit, you'll be sniffing and squeezing and weighing like a pro. Now, still to come, Chef Laura answers more of your questions and is going to show us how to make a tasty, easy and very healthy meal in just 10 minutes. Don't you go away.
But first, it's time for a Recipe Rehab pop quiz question.
Egg whites are a good source of which of the following? A, fat, B, protein, C, carbohydrates, or D, vitamins? The answer when we return to Recipe Rehab. Don't go away. Welcome back to Recipe Rehab. Before the break, we asked you, egg whites are a good source of which of the following? A, fat, B, protein, C, carbohydrates, or D, vitamins? If you said B, you were right. Egg whites are a great choice for breakfast. The whites of the egg provide more than half of all the protein found in an egg, and, unlike the yolk, contain almost no fat. Now let's get back to the action. Welcome back to a special episode of Recipe Rehab where we're here with Chef Laura. She's competed many times right here in this kitchen, and today she's agreed to take questions from our viewers. Are you ready for some more?
I sure am.
Wonderful. Now we have a question from Naomi who wants to know...
I always burn my fingers when I light the birthday candles. Any tips on how to light the candles?
Wow. I actually have a really cool tip for this.
Okay.
Now, when I was a child and I lived in Italy, we didn't have, you know, stovetop, so you can just click, 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 and it would turn on. You had to like manually turn on the stove, and I hated doing that because I always burned my knuckle.
Okay.
So my nonna would light a spaghetti for me, and then I could light the stove. You can use this trick to light your birthday candles, and that way you don't get wax all over the place. You don't get burned.
Who knew you could do that with pasta? Isn't that amazing? Don't go catching your sleeves on fire. That would really ruin the party. Now, we have another question, this time from Amy.
Chef, I love to make pasta, but every time I make it, it always sticks together. Do you have any tricks on how to make it not stick?
Well, you being the Italian stallion, you could have a few tricks for Amy about pasta.
I do. And the first thing I want to tell Amy to never do is put oil in the boiling water.
Oh.
A lot of people think it's gonna make your pasta not stick together. What it really does, it gets your pasta oily and it makes the sauce not stick to your pasta.
Oh.
You need plenty of boiling water. So that's really the only thing there is to it. You just really need to remember that the pasta releases its starch within the first 60 seconds. So you don't wanna just drop it, walk away and go have a conversation with your girlfriend. You wanna stay here and you wanna give this a toss. Just sit here for about 60 seconds until it's totally submerged in the boiling water and just give it a little bit of TLC.
Aye.
That's it.
Okay. So there you go, Amy. Some easy tips on keeping your pasta unclumped. Here's our next question from Abby.
Chef, I love soup, but I always end up eating canned soup because it's just so convenient. I know it's not healthy for me because of all of the salt. Do you have a soup recipe that's healthy and quick to make?
I'm gonna make a 10-minute pumpkin soup.
So you're gonna show us how to make an easy, tasty meal in just 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
Let's put 10 minutes on the clock, and away you go.
Okie doke. Little olive oil in a saucepan. I'm using a shallot.
Right.
It's a lot more mild than an onion. It's nothing too strong.
So we're not gonna get any onion bread.
Right. You're gonna add in a pinch of dry thyme, making sure you really crush it well between your fingers to really release that aroma.
Some aroma and the oils and everything else.
And I'm also gonna add some dry sage because if I've gotta have pumpkin, I've gotta have sage. It's just one of those things that go hand in hand. You know what I mean? Sure. Next step is we're gonna add in a can of pumpkin puree, not pumpkin pie filling.
Right.
You want pure pumpkin. I'm just gonna thin this out with a little bit of chicken stock.
This is low sodium.
Always low sodium chicken stock.
And I love the color. Wow, look at that. So we've basically gone 8 minutes down, 2 minutes left, and the soup is already done.
It's done. It's
What
that
are we gonna
simple.
add to it?
Just gonna add a small pinch of salt and some black pepper.
Hey, black
That's it.
pepper makes the world go round, I'm telling you.
It's done.
That's it?
That's it. I'm gonna ladle this
How
up.
quick was that?
It's quick, it's easy, it's healthy. I think it's something the parents are gonna love too.
Laura, this is a fantastic pumpkin soup, and it only took 10 minutes. When we come back, Chef Laura is going to show us some of her favourite gadgets and lots more, so stick around. Delicious. Welcome back to a special episode of Recipe Rehab. Chef Laura is with us and she's sharing her tips and tricks of the trade, which brings us to our next question, and it comes from Edda.
I love making fruit salads with my mom, but I never know the proper way to cut strawberries. Do you have any tips?
Ooh, so a garnish question there from Edda.
First of all, if you got a strawberry, it's so beautiful.
They're naturally beautiful.
They're naturally beautiful. They're full of antioxidants and vitamin C, so it's a great snack.
Okay.
But you gotta take the top off. You can do one or two things. You can cut the top off just like so, or you can actually hull the strawberries, which means you take a really sharp little paring knife and you kind of just go into the center of the strawberry and you do it like so.
All right.
Now, to keep the strawberry beautiful and all the slices the same size and all that, I use an egg slicer.
Who would have thunk it?
Who would have thunk? Put your strawberry right in. Look at that.
Well, I think you've answered Edda's question there very nicely. See, we're proving things can be beautiful and good for you all at the same time. Chef Laura, are you ready for another question?
Yeah.
Okay, our next question comes from Hayden.
I love cooking in the kitchen with my family, and my favorite part about it is all the cool cooking gadgets that I get to use. So my question for you is, what's your favorite cooking gadget?
So, what's your favorite gadget in the kitchen?
I have a few of them that I think all three of them are taken for granted. One of them is the immersion blender, which a lot of people call it stick blender, which is really, really awesome for pureeing soups, sauces, or you can puree fruit if you want to make a fresh fruit puree.
One of my things, I take it everywhere.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Can't live without it. The second thing is actually a kitchen timer. This is great if you've got a lot of things cooking and you don't have to hover over something when you're working on something else. So you can just set yourself up with a timer, then you know you've got maybe 15 more minutes there. You don't have to worry about it. It's simmering by itself and you can concentrate on something else. Now, the last one I'm going to talk about is an ice cream scoop. And I've got two sizes. I've got more traditional size, which is a 1/4 cup. And then I've got a small one, which is 1 tablespoon measuring. I love these for portion control. This little one makes for perfect little tiny meatballs.
Good idea.
Great. Or cookie dough. Wow. And this is great for cake batters, muffins, cupcakes. Just really easy, perfect to keep on hand.
Well, thanks, Chef. Now, how about another question? Okay, this one comes from Marcus.
I love pomegranates, but I always have a hard time taking the seeds out. Do you have any tips on how I can take the seeds out faster?
That is a really interesting question.
It is.
Because I wouldn't even know how to do that.
This trick is going to change the way you feel about cleaning a pomegranate.
Right on.
Now, a lot of people cut it in half, put it upside down on their hand, whack it with a wooden spoon. The pomegranate seeds fall through your fingers, which is great if you want to make your kitchen look like a crime scene, which we don't want to do that. So, this is a trick. You take a pomegranate, you cut it in half, or if it's really big, you cut it in quarters. You fill a large bowl with water. You take your pomegranate half or quarters, and you just break them apart. And all the white membrane flows to the top, and all the seeds go straight to the bottom. Look, there's nothing messy going on.
I'm telling you right now, people at home, I bet no one knew how to do this.
And you should eat them so much more. They're
so good
full of antioxidants and vitamin C. And I love them sprinkled on yogurt, or I think they're fantastic in salads for a nice crunch. And then what you can do is you take a strainer and you get rid of all of the white from the top. Then you take a little strainer and you go in there and you get all your seeds out. Put them in a little bowl.
So, Marcus, what you can do is get your little brother and sister to do all the work, and then you enjoy the pomegranates. All right, Chef Laura, you've got a question from Crystal, who asks this.
So I always wondered, what's the difference between a vegetable and a fruit?
Well, the easiest thing to remember is that fruit grows on trees.
Okay.
And that technically, vegetables refers to a leafy green or like a root vegetable. For example, onion, potatoes, carrots, root vegetables.
Okay.
Leafy greens such as broccoli, that's a vegetable. But anything that has seeds in it is a fruit. So things like bell peppers, cucumbers, and even tomatoes are technically a fruit, but we treat them as a vegetable.
Really? Okay, great questions, everybody. When we return, we're going to find out what Chef Laura puts in her grocery basket when she goes to the market, so don't go away. Welcome back to a special episode of Recipe Rehab. Chef Laura is sharing all of her cooking wisdom with us today. Now, we've discussed everything from gadgets to tips to tricks and to great 10-minute meals.
And soon she'll reveal what she puts in her shopping basket.
But before that, I think we have some time for a couple more questions. Chef, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Alrighty, Tyra needs an answer to this.
I love salad, but bottled salad dressing is filled with sodium. How can I make a healthy homemade salad dressing?
What a great question.
What I've got here is things I have in my refrigerator.
Okay.
I've got a clove of garlic that I'm gonna mince up nice and fine because I really wanna give this a lot of flavor without having to use a lot of salt or anything like that. I've got some basil, parsley, thyme, oregano, and I'm just gonna give this a nice fine chop because I want this to distribute all over the dressing. And I like to make it in a mason jar so I can kind of just shake it around, keep leftovers on hand, and you don't get a lot of things dirty. Now I'm gonna use a little bit of Dijon mustard, which gives it flavor. It's nice and tangy, but also it's a great emulsifier.
So this is still gonna give us a creamy edge.
Yeah. You're gonna get a creamy edge, but without any cream, any mayo, anything like that. I'm gonna use fresh lemon. You know me, I love lemon. In fact, I am gonna add a little bit of vinegar.
Good for you.
Season this with some salt and pepper. And then to make it so that I don't have to use a lot of oil, I'm going to just add a splash of water to this. And if you do use oil, you want to use extra virgin olive oil, no saturated fat, the good kind. Lid on, and then just shake what your mama gave you, you know what I mean? And then just right over your greens.
I'm gonna have a taste of that. That looks so good. Oh, wow, that's delicious.
Isn't that good?
So that's a really quick and easy way to whip up a salad dressing, but it's also a good way to control the ingredients and keep it healthy. Here comes another question, Chef. It's from Brian.
My dad's a professional barbecuer. He carries a ton of spices in our pantry, but they kind of just sit there. Is there any expiration date on when these spices expire?
That's a really good question.
It is.
Because we've all got spices in our cupboards, and most of them probably have been there a little bit too long.
My personal opinion, ground spices should never be in your cabinet for more than 6 months because the flavor kind of starts to go away.
Right, and what's our essential herbs?
For me, ancho chili powder.
Okay.
Fantastic, sprinkled on wedges of sweet potatoes. And then I've got to have something sweet, and for me, pumpkin spice is at the very top. Fennel seeds, crucial to an Italian. Along with some hot pepper flakes. I couldn't live without either one of them.
Great. Now, our next question comes from Angeli.
I don't like milk. Is there any way I can add something to it to make it taste good?
Interesting one there.
Now, I have a couple of tips on how to make your milk actually taste really good. First of all, make sure it's nice and cold. Take it out of the fridge last minute because it just tastes better, in my opinion. Now, two of the things I love is vanilla extract and some fruit puree. This is some acai puree. You can use strawberry, you can use any kind of berry puree. Just make sure it's not loaded with sugar. Fresh stuff is always best.
Okay.
If you're a fan of chocolate milk, get rid of that store-bought chocolate syrup, swap it out for like a tablespoon of cocoa powder. It's just gonna be delicious. I'm gonna do the acai berry one. I'm just gonna put some cold milk in a nice tall glass. I'm gonna take just a couple tablespoons of my puree. I mean, look at that color already.
Isn't that awesome?
That is quite awesome. And then you've gotta have a fun straw, because I just think it tastes 10 times better with a straw.
Can I have a taste?
Go for it.
Oh, yeah.
If you like that, you know the kids are gonna like that.
That's
so.
awesome. Now, we're nearly out of time, Chef Laura. Can you handle one last question?
I can.
All right, then.
Hi, Chef. When I'm at the grocery store with my family, I have no clue of what healthy ingredients I should buy. Do you have any suggestions?
That's a pretty sensible question.
And it brings us to my favorite segment, What's in Your Basket?
Some of the things I always have to have on hand is, of course, a good quality balsamic vinegar. And being an Italian, you know I have to have really good extra virgin olive oil. With these two ingredients, I know that at a moment's notice, I've got a vinaigrette, a marinade, a drizzle of something to put on just about anything.
Right on.
And of course, I need pasta, and some good canned tomatoes, no sodium, no salt, gotta have it. I have to have chicken stock and pumpkin puree. No matter what time of year, you will always find pure pumpkin puree.
So each of these ingredients, you can make a meal in
seconds. And then if you've got some onions, garlic, and fresh herbs, you really have yourself covered. If you don't have time to go to the store, but you just look around in your fridge and your pantry, you can definitely whip up something in no time.
Well, these are some great ideas we can add to our shopping list.
So unfortunately, we've run out of time and it's been brilliant hanging out with you.
If you're looking for even more cooking tips and healthy recipes, then head on over to reciperehab.com/TV show.
Thanks, Chef Laura, and a big thank you to all our viewers for all their great questions. Now, we hope you've picked up some tips, some tricks that will make all your meals more delicious, easier to prepare, and more importantly, healthier. So we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Closed captioning and other promotional considerations for Recipe Rehab are provided by